The sting of a slap, sharp, unforgiving, echoes through the room. It burns, searing my skin with the force of a memory I wish I could forget. My head whips to the side, and before I can even register the pain, I taste copper, the unmistakable warmth of blood pooling in my mouth. My teeth, sharp as betrayal, have cut into my own cheek. I stand frozen, my hand trembling as it lifts to my face, feeling the heat, the swelling already beginning to rise. The kitchen spins around me, the walls closing in as if the very space is suffocating. Smoke curls lazily from Sloane's cigarette, drifting between us like a ghost from another life. My own son, my flesh and blood, just struck me. Deacon. The boy I had raised all on my own, through struggles I never imagined. The boy I fought for, sacrificed everything for. The boy whose college tuition was paid with coins saved in coffee cans hidden behind closed doors. Now, the same boy stands before me, his eyes cold, indifferent. Maybe now you'll learn to keep quiet, he says, his voice flat, devoid of any warmth, any trace of the boy who once called me Mom. His words land like a punch, harder than his hand ever could. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end and let me know which city you're listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled. I can't speak. Can't even breathe. My lungs are tight, each inhale a struggle, each exhale an ache. I had only asked him one thing, one simple request. Because the doctor had warned me, told me that my lungs were dying from emphysema, a cruel thief stealing my breath, yet no one cared. Not even Deacon. Sloane, with her perfect yoga pants and perfect ponytail, takes another drag from her cigarette, completely oblivious to the storm raging inside me. She smirks, almost enjoying this. As if my pain, my suffering, is her entertainment. Deacon doesn't look at me again, as though I am invisible, as though nothing had happened. He walks over to her, presses a kiss to her forehead, and just like that, it's over. He asks, "Dinner out tonight?" as if slapping his mother was just a passing thought, something inconsequential. Sloane's laugh floats through the air, high and unbothered, and they leave. 15 minutes later, they're gone. Deacon's arm wrapped around Sloane, their laughter fading as the sound of their car fades into the distance, leaving only the hollow silence of the house behind. I am left alone in the kitchen, my face throbbing, my chest tightening, my lungs burning with every shallow breath. The silence of the house presses in around me, as if the walls themselves are closing in, suffocating me. I make my way slowly to the guest room. The guest room, no, not my room, their room. The one Sloane decorated like it was a showroom, sterile, cold. It feels like a hospital waiting room. The kind where people go to die, not live. I sit on the edge of the bed. It's too soft, too expensive, a mattress I'll never get used to, not in a million years. Not in 6 months. My phone sits on the nightstand, next to a photograph of Deacon on his high school graduation day, a time when the love between us felt real. His smile was so proud, so full of hope. It feels like a lifetime ago, a different life. My hand shakes as I reach for the phone, my cheek pulsing with pain. Tomorrow there will be a bruise, a mark of what happened today, but for now, I just want to get this over with. I scroll through my contacts. Names I haven't called in years. People I helped when they had nothing, when they were lost and needed someone to believe in them. People who remember when I was strong, when I had power, when I was someone who mattered. I find the name I've been looking for, Marcus Chen. The attorney I helped 20 years ago, when he was drowning in his own pain. He made something of himself, became one of Ohio's top elder abuse lawyers. I press call. "Loretta, is that you?" His voice is the same, warm but strong, full of authority. "Marcus, I need help." My voice cracks. Weak. Barely a whisper. "What happened?" His voice tightens with concern. I tell him. Not everything, not yet, but enough. Enough to start. The slap. The cigarettes. The months of humiliation. The money they've been taking from me, $400 a month for household expenses, when my disability check barely covers my rent, let alone my medications. Don't move anything, he says, his voice hard, focused. Don't change anything. We're building a case. I make 2 more calls, one to Rhonda Washington, a childhood friend and investigative journalist who owes me for the year I spent caring for her mother when she was finishing college, and another to Vincent Torres, Deacon's old college roommate, the boy I practically raised alongside Deacon. He became a forensic accountant, specializing in financial abuse cases. By the time I finish the 3rd call, I hear their car pull into the driveway. Sloane's laughter echoes through the garage, and Deacon's voice rumbles, a sound I don't recognize anymore. They're happy. They're free. And I am not. I stare at my reflection in the mirror above the dresser. The handprint on my cheek, glowing red and angry, stands out, clear and undeniable. I can feel it swelling already, but I also feel something else, a flicker of something I haven't felt in months. Strength. Let them laugh tonight. Let them think I'm weak. Let them think I'm broken. Tomorrow, everything changes. But I need to ask, have you ever felt this way? Like you've given everything and still been broken by the ones you love most? Tell me in the comments. And if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. Stay tuned for part 2. The night drags on, heavy with the silence that only follows something as final as betrayal. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling. The pain in my cheek, the throb of my lungs, they all blend together in a haze of exhaustion. My mind keeps replaying Deacon's face, his words, the coldness in his eyes. How could he do this? How could he forget everything I did for him? I think back to when I was 17, to when I first met Deacon's father, Jimmy. He was that kind of handsome that made you feel seen, and then forgotten just as quickly. He promised me the world with a smile and a bottle of beer. I thought I had found everything I'd ever wanted. But promises, like his, were always broken. The drinking got worse. He was gone before Deacon even hit his teenage years. I had to raise my son alone. It was just him and me against the world. I sacrificed so much. So much of myself. Deacon's first steps, his first words, his first basketball game, those were all mine to hold on to. I worked long hours at the Morrison textile factory, my feet aching, my hands cracked and raw from the chemicals. I wore my sacrifice like a badge of honor, not for me, but for him. For the hope that one day, he'd make something of himself, that he'd be better than I could ever be. I saved every penny, stashed it away in coffee cans behind closed doors. The dream was always for Deacon, always for his future. And then came the day he graduated high school. I remember standing there beside him, my arm around his shoulders, and thinking that all the years of hard work, of struggle, had been worth it. He was leaving for college, a bright future ahead of him. But I never imagined that he would forget where he came from, forget the sacrifices I made for him. I never imagined he'd be the one to slap me, to make me feel less than nothing. The phone vibrates on the nightstand. I jump, startled by the sound. Marcus. I press answer, my heart racing, unsure of what I'm about to hear. Loretta, we've got your back. Rhonda's on the case too, and Vincent's pulling financials. We're moving forward. I close my eyes, relief flooding me. The weight I've been carrying for so long feels just a little lighter. For the first time in a long time, I'm not alone in this. I don't have to fight this battle by myself. But then, the thought creeps back in. Deacon. How could he turn on me like this? He was supposed to protect me. He was supposed to love me. He was my boy. But the more I think about it, the more I realize, he isn't the same boy I raised. And maybe, just maybe, I need to accept that. The next morning, I wake up early. My cheek is still sore, swollen, but I don't let it slow me down. I need to keep moving, keep breathing. The air in the house feels different now, stale, full of the unspoken. I get dressed in a clean shirt, one that Deacon bought me a few Christmases ago, when he still cared. When I was still important to him. I go downstairs and find Sloane in the kitchen, her back to me, flipping through a magazine. Deacon's not there. I hear the hum of the shower from upstairs. It's just the two of us in the room. She doesn't turn when I enter, doesn't acknowledge me at all. I pour myself a cup of coffee, the hot liquid warming my hands. But it's not enough to warm the cold between us. Sloane's smile doesn't reach her eyes when she finally speaks. You're up early. I nod, but don't respond. There's nothing to say to her. Nothing she could say that would make any of this right. The doorbell rings at exactly 9 a.m. My heart skips. It's time. I stand slowly, my legs still shaky from the events of yesterday. My lungs feel tight as I walk to the door. I pull it open, and there he stands, Marcus Chen, dressed in his professional suit, all business. His eyes scan the house as he steps inside, his demeanor calm, controlled. Good morning, Loretta, he says softly, his voice a steady anchor in the storm. Good morning, I whisper back, my voice thick with the emotion I can't quite hold in. Then, he looks past me, and his voice changes, hardening with authority. Mr. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson. I'm Marcus Chen, an attorney specializing in elder abuse cases. May I come in? Deacon appears behind me, his face pale, his eyes wide, almost as if he's realized that his world is about to come crashing down. I'm not the only one who's been living in a lie. I stand there, my heart beating fast in my chest, and I speak, my voice steady, but my words shaking with truth. I called for help. The next few moments unfold in a blur. Marcus lays out the case, item by item. The financial abuse. The emotional neglect. The assault. The receipts, the photos, the evidence, all of it, laid bare in front of Deacon and Sloane. Their faces twist with disbelief, but the truth is undeniable. Sloane opens her mouth to protest, but Marcus cuts her off, his voice cool and unwavering. These are bank records showing that Mrs. Patterson has been paying $400 a month in household expenses, leaving her with barely enough for medications, food, and her personal needs. This is not normal. This is exploitation. Deacon looks at the documents, his face growing paler by the second. His mouth opens, but nothing comes out. This isn't the son I raised. This is a stranger who's hiding behind his lies, his pride, too proud to admit what he's become. Marcus doesn't let up. And we have photos. Would you like to see them? Deacon's hand trembles as he reaches for his phone. His eyes dart between the documents and the images, my bruised cheek, the dirty guest room, the cracked window. He doesn't want to look, doesn't want to see the reality of what he's done. But the evidence is clear. It's too late for excuses. And then, as if everything wasn't enough, Vincent walks through the door. I almost don't recognize him, tall, professional, confident, a far cry from the boy I raised alongside Deacon. But when his eyes meet mine, they soften. He crosses the room in 2 long strides, kneels in front of me, and takes my hand, his thumb brushing against the swelling on my cheek. I'm so sorry, Mama Loretta, he whispers, his voice thick with emotion. I should have been there for you. Tears well up in my eyes, but I don't let them fall. I won't cry for Deacon. Not anymore. Vincent stands and turns to Deacon, his voice cold, sharp. What's going on, Deacon? You want to explain how you hit the woman who raised you? How you've exploited her for months, taking advantage of her health, her money, her love. Deacon opens his mouth, but no words come out. His jaw clenches, his hands curl into fists. The silence hangs heavy between us, but it doesn't last. Marcus speaks again, and his words are final. This ends today. We're taking this to court. Sloane steps forward, but Marcus stands firm, blocking her way. You're both going to face consequences for what you've done. And there will be no escaping it this time. The doorbell rings again, and I hear the footsteps of more people arriving: Rhonda, the photographer, the Adult Protective Services investigator. Everything I've been collecting, every ounce of pain and humiliation, is finally coming to light. And now, it's not just about me. It's about every person who's ever been made to feel invisible, to feel small, to be used and discarded by the ones they loved. The investigator looks at me, her voice soft, understanding. "Mrs. Patterson, I need to speak with you separately." I nod, and as I follow her out of the room, I take one last look at Deacon. At the boy I raised, the boy who is now a stranger. And for the first time in a long time, I know I'm finally free. But, before we continue, think about it. Have you ever had to face someone you loved turning their back on you? Have you fought back when they've tried to tear you down? Tell me in the comments. And if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. Stay tuned for part 3. The investigation moves quickly, faster than I could have imagined. Within days, things begin to unfold. The walls that have kept me trapped in this suffocating silence for months begin to crack. The air in the house has changed, and with every phone call, every text, I feel a shift. I'm not invisible anymore. I'm not the weak, helpless woman they thought I was. I sit in the living room of my new apartment, the sun streaming in through the windows. It's small, but it's mine. The walls don't feel like they're closing in here. I breathe easier. I don't have to fight for air anymore. There's warmth in the space, a sense of comfort I haven't felt in a long time. My lungs still struggle, still burn, but they're not suffocating me the way they were before. Vincent helped me move in. He's been a rock through all of this, the kind of son I always wished Deacon would be. He brought furniture from his storage unit, set up my apartment with pieces he'd been saving for a future he never thought he'd need. But now, that future is here. It's not just about surviving anymore, it's about living. I can hear Rhonda's voice in my head, too, always encouraging me, telling me that by speaking up, I've given others the courage to do the same. She brings groceries twice a week, sits with me, and shares the updates on the story she's writing. It's still surreal to me, seeing my life unfold in front of strangers, knowing that my pain might help others in ways I never expected. Deacon's world has unraveled. The firm he worked for asked him to resign, his reputation shredded in ways I couldn't have imagined. It's almost hard to feel anything about it. Part of me wants to feel relief, like some justice has been served. But the rest of me just feels tired. I've carried this weight for so long that now, with it all falling apart, I'm not sure how to let go of the anger, the pain. And then, I get the text from Marcus: they've agreed to settle. I sit down in the little kitchen, my heart thumping in my chest. It's over. It's really over. Deacon and Sloan have agreed to pay back everything they took from me, every penny of the $400 a month I paid them, all of my medical bills, every expense they've ever charged me. But it's not just the money. They're going to issue a public apology. Deacon will have to fund scholarships for children of elderly parents who are being exploited, the way I was. They're going to have mandatory elder care sensitivity training as part of their professional licensing. It's strange to think that something so small could come from something so painful, but I can't deny that it feels like justice. As I read through the settlement documents, I can't help but wonder if it's enough. It's hard to know what would ever be enough for the things Deacon did to me. The scars, the brokenness, those will never disappear. But maybe this is the start of something new. Maybe this is the way forward. And then, I get another message from Marcus. This one makes me smile, even though it's bittersweet. Sloan's pharmaceutical license is under review. The board has received multiple complaints about her treatment of elderly clients. They're investigating. I can't help it. I laugh, just a little. It's not the laugh of someone who's won, not the laugh of someone who feels victorious. It's the laugh of someone who's just glad it's finally over. Glad to be free from the hold they had over me. But even with the settlement, even with everything that's been promised, I'm not sure I can ever truly forgive them. Deacon calls me, his voice shaking, and I don't pick up. I'm done listening to his apologies. I've heard them too many times, and I've heard them too late. The next day, I get an unexpected visitor. It's Vincent. He's standing on my doorstep, holding a bag from the bakery down the street. I open the door, and he smiles at me, a warmth in his eyes that Deacon used to have. "You're early," I say, but I'm not really surprised. Vincent is the kind of person who doesn't need to be told twice. He grins, holding up the bag. "Got those croissants you like? And coffee. The good kind." We sit down at my small kitchen table, the sunlight streaming through the window, casting warm shadows on the walls. It's the kind of moment I never thought I'd have again, the kind I almost gave up on believing in. Vincent talks about his week, his work, his girlfriend, his plans for the future. It's not about abuse, not about court cases or settlements or apologies. It's just about life, the small, quiet moments that make up the days. "I've missed this. You seem different," he says, watching me with a look that says more than words could. "Lighter." I smile, but it's not a sad smile. It's the kind of smile that feels like freedom. Like I can finally breathe without something heavy pressing down on me. I say softly, taking a sip of my coffee. "Lighter." He laughs, but it's light, easy. And for the first time in months, I don't feel like I'm just surviving. I feel like I'm living again. The doorbell rings as we finish our breakfast. I look at Vincent, but it's not him this time. It's another message, another piece of this long journey finally falling into place. I check my phone. It's from Rhonda. "Check your email. The scholarship fund is official. First recipient has been chosen." My heart skips a beat. I open the email, and as I read, something shifts in me. The recipient is a 38-year-old woman, caring for her father who has dementia. She's going back to school for nursing, and she's been selected for the scholarship fund I fought for. Tears fill my eyes, but they're not tears of sorrow. They're tears of hope, of knowing that all of this, everything, wasn't in vain. My pain, my sacrifices, they've all led to something bigger than myself. Something that will help others. I forward the email to Vincent and Marcus. I add a short note, "Thank you for helping me help her. I know there's more to do. There's more to come. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I've made a difference. Like I've left a mark in this world. And that mark will matter, even if I'm the only one who ever sees it." The sun begins to dip, casting a warm glow across the room. It's a peaceful evening, the kind I haven't had in years. I sit at my small table, watching the birds outside my window, the cardinals Vincent hung for me. I'm not invisible anymore. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm enough. But before we continue, I want to ask you, have you ever found your strength when you thought you had nothing left? Have you ever fought back after years of silence? Tell me in the comments. And if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. Stay tuned for part 4. The weeks that follow feel like a quiet storm passing by. There's a calm, a peace I haven't known in years. The weight on my chest, the suffocation of living under Deacon's roof, it all fades slowly as I settle into my new life. The apartment, small but comforting, feels more like home than any house ever has. The space is mine, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm allowed to breathe, to exist. Vincent visits me often. He's become more than just a friend, he's the son I always wanted Deacon to be. He listens to me, laughs with me, and never makes me feel like I'm invisible. His presence is like a balm, soothing the raw places in my heart that have been torn open by Deacon's betrayal. Every time Vincent walks into my apartment, his face lights up, and I can see how much he cares. It's a different kind of love, one that doesn't ask for anything in return. One that's been earned, built over years of trust and care, not just blood and obligation. I get messages from Rhonda, too. She's been documenting the entire story, and it's starting to take off. People are reaching out to her, sharing their own stories of elder abuse, of neglect, of families who have used them for their money, their health, their love. And every time someone reaches out to her, I feel a sense of validation. Like my suffering wasn't just for nothing. Like it's helping others. That maybe, just maybe, this story can make a difference. The public apology from Deacon and Sloan was printed in the Columbus Dispatch, as part of the settlement. It wasn't enough. Nothing would ever be enough to undo what they did to me. But it was something. It was a step, even if it was a small one. Deacon tried to reach out to me. He called once. Twice. Then he showed up at my door. The first time, I didn't even open it. I couldn't. I wasn't ready to hear the excuses, the empty words, the apology that came too late. But then, one morning, he came again. I wasn't sure what to expect. Part of me wanted to slam the door in his face, to tell him to leave me alone. But another part of me, maybe the part that still wanted to believe in him, that still remembered the boy he used to be, wanted to hear him out. When I opened the door, I was surprised to see him standing there, thinner, older, his eyes filled with something I couldn't quite place. Guilt? Regret? He was a stranger now, someone I didn't recognize. "Mom," he said, his voice breaking. I don't know how to fix what I've done. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve to speak to you. But I had to try. I didn't say anything at first. I just stood there, looking at him. The boy I raised was gone. In his place was a man who had destroyed everything we once had, everything I'd worked for. The pain was still fresh, the betrayal still stung. But I knew, deep down, that I needed to say something. I needed to let him know that it was over. "You broke my heart, Deacon," I said quietly, my voice steady. "You made me feel worthless. You hit me. You abandoned me. And now, you want to apologize? After everything?" His eyes filled with tears. He reached out, as if to touch me, but I stepped back. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry for everything I've done to you. I didn't realize. I didn't see you. I've been selfish, and I know I can't take it back. But I'm trying. I promise." I looked at him for a long time, the man who used to be my son. My heart hurt, but it didn't break the way it did before. I was done with the empty apologies. I was done with pretending that everything was okay. "I'm glad you're sorry," I said, "but that's not enough. Love isn't enough if there's no respect. You have to do better. You have to prove that you're sorry, not just say it. You've already lost me." He looked crushed, but I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt tired. "I'm never going to forget what you did," I continued, "but I don't need you to fix it. I need you to move forward, to make sure it never happens again. To be better for someone else, for the people you should be protecting. Not for me. Not anymore." Deacon nodded, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. "I'll do better. I promise." He turned to leave, his shoulders hunched in defeat. As he walked away, I felt the weight of all the years I had spent holding on to him, to the idea of him. And for the first time, I let it go. The door clicked shut behind him, and I felt a strange peace settle over me. I didn't need him to apologize anymore. I didn't need his approval. I didn't need anything from him. I was free. But freedom doesn't always come easy, and it doesn't always feel like a victory. Sometimes, it's just a moment of quiet, of finally being able to breathe without the fear of suffocation. That night, I lie in bed, the darkness comforting me. I think about the woman I was before all of this, the woman who tried to hold everything together, who sacrificed pieces of herself for the people she loved. And I think about the woman I've become. The woman who isn't afraid to speak her truth. The woman who knows her worth. The woman who is enough. The days slip by in a blur. I keep my routines, go to physical therapy, work on my breathing exercises. I even start reading more, something I haven't done in years. I pick up the books I used to love, and for the first time, I feel like I'm allowed to live. Rhonda calls me one afternoon, her voice full of excitement. Loretta, the scholarship fund is growing. People are reaching out from all over the country. They want to help. They want to make a difference, just like you did. I smile, tears welling in my eyes. It's not about the money. It's not about the recognition. It's about knowing that my pain has led to something bigger, something that will help others. It's about knowing that my voice has made an impact. And then, I get a message from Marcus. I found something on Deacon's financials. You won't believe it. My heart skips a beat. Could it be that Deacon has been hiding more from me? But before I can respond, I hear a knock on the door. It's Vincent, as always, with a warm smile and another bag from the bakery. Got your favorite, he says, holding it up like a gift. Come in, I say, stepping aside. I'll take it. We sit together at the table, talking about nothing important, just enjoying the moment. And for the first time in a long time, I realize that I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm living. I'm healing. And that's enough. Before we end, I want to know, have you ever had to let go of someone you loved, someone who hurt you? How did you find the strength to move on? Tell me in the comments. And if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. Stay tuned for part 5. The days that follow are calm, quieter than I ever expected. The chaos of the past months fades into the background, replaced by the steady rhythm of my new life. The sun streams through my apartment windows each morning, casting soft light over everything, and I wake up each day with a sense of peace I haven't felt in years. For the first time in a long time, I'm not constantly bracing myself for another blow, for another betrayal. I still have my moments. The pain in my lungs never really goes away. The scars on my heart, the marks left by Deacon's words and actions, they still sting when I think too hard about them. But I've learned something through all of this. I've learned that healing isn't about fixing what's broken, it's about accepting what has been lost and moving forward anyway. Vincent comes by often, his presence a comforting constant. He's there for dinner, for coffee, for just hanging out, and it feels natural, easy. He never judges me, never makes me feel like a burden. He just is. And that's something I never thought I'd find again. Rhonda calls to update me on the article she's been writing. It's gaining traction. People have started reaching out to her, sharing their own stories of abuse, neglect, and mistreatment at the hands of their families. There's a sense of solidarity in their words, a feeling that they, too, are reclaiming their voices. Every time someone shares their story with Rhonda, I feel a flicker of hope, a quiet reassurance that the pain I've endured is meaningful in ways I could never have imagined. I take the time now to do things I put off for years. I'm reading again, finishing books I started months ago but never had the energy to finish. I go for walks, feeling the wind on my face, and I notice the little things, the way the trees sway in the breeze, the songs of the birds, the way the sky turns shades of pink and orange at sunset. It's as if I'm seeing the world with new eyes, eyes that have been opened to the beauty of simple moments. I've missed this. And then, there's the scholarship fund. It's growing faster than I could have imagined. More people are contributing, more stories are being shared, and it's becoming something bigger than me. Rhonda has been instrumental in spreading the word. Every time I hear about someone else getting help, someone else getting the chance to change their life, I feel like maybe, just maybe, there was a reason I had to go through all of this. Maybe it wasn't just for me. Maybe it was for them, too. One evening, as I'm making dinner, I hear a knock at the door. I freeze, instinctively bracing myself for something. But when I open it, I'm surprised to see Marcus standing there, a familiar smile on his face. Loretta, he says, his voice soft, I thought you'd want to know. We've got everything in place for the settlement. Deacon and Sloan are paying back everything. The scholarship fund is official, and they'll have to undergo the mandatory elder care sensitivity training. It's all happening. I take a deep breath, feeling a strange combination of relief and something else. I'm glad the legal side of things is finally settled. But a part of me wonders if it'll ever be enough. Can anything ever make up for what they did to me? I don't know. But I don't need to answer that anymore. I'm not waiting for their apology, not waiting for them to fix what they broke. What about Deacon? I ask quietly. What happens to him now? Marcus hesitates, his face softening. He's trying to make amends. But that's on him. You've done what you needed to do. And now it's time for you to move on. You don't owe him anything anymore. I nod, feeling a strange weight lift from my shoulders. I've done enough. I don't have to keep carrying that burden anymore. For the first time in my life, I can choose where to go from here. Later that night, as I sit on my couch, I think about Deacon. I think about the boy I once knew, the boy who used to run to me for comfort. The boy who once smiled at me like I was his world. But that boy is gone. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it's time to stop holding on to a version of him that doesn't exist anymore. The phone buzzes in my hand, and I look down. It's a text from Rhonda. Check your inbox, Loretta. Big news. I open the email, and my heart skips a beat. It's a message from the first recipient of the scholarship fund, a woman named Sarah, in her 30s, caring for her father who has Alzheimer's. She's going back to school to become a nurse. She writes about how the scholarship has given her hope when she had none, how it's allowed her to continue her education while caring for her father. Tears fill my eyes, but they're not tears of sadness. They're tears of pride. Of knowing that everything I've fought for has led to something bigger, something that will change lives. I forward the email to Vincent and Marcus, adding a short note, "This is why it matters. This is why we fought for this." Vincent visits the next day, bringing coffee and croissants, and I tell him about the email. His smile is wide and warm. "You did that, Loretta," he says. "You changed someone's life." It's hard for me to believe, but it's true. I did that. After everything I've been through, I still have the power to make a difference. To help someone else. And that, I think, is the most healing part of all. The days move on. Life doesn't stop for anyone. But I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm thriving. I'm living. The phone rings again, and this time, it's a call I've been waiting for. It's from an investigator at the Adult Protective Services office. "Loretta," she says, her voice steady, "I wanted to inform you that Deacon and Sloan are under review for the abuse and neglect they inflicted on you. This investigation is ongoing, but we're taking action. There will be consequences." I listen quietly, nodding, my chest tightening with a mixture of relief and exhaustion. It's done. It's really done. They're finally going to face the consequences of their actions. After the call ends, I sit in silence, my mind drifting back to the last time I saw Deacon. To the apology he gave me. To the way he left that day, broken and regretful. For a moment, I wonder if he'll ever truly change. If he'll ever really understand what he did to me. But then I stop myself. It doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what I do with the life I have left. What matters is how I move forward. I stand up, walk over to the window, and look out at the world outside. The sky is clear, the sun shining brightly. The world is full of possibilities now, and I'm not afraid to take them on. It's been months since the slap, since everything came crashing down. And while the scars remain, they're no longer chains that bind me. They're reminders of how far I've come, how much I've grown. I take a deep breath, smiling to myself. I am enough. But before we wrap up, I want to ask you, have you ever had to make a choice to let go of someone who hurt you? How did you find the strength to do it? Tell me in the comments. And if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Stay tuned for part 6. Life moves on. The days blend together, each one a little easier, a little lighter than the last. I find myself waking up without the weight of dread hanging over me, without the fear of what might come next. For the first time in a long time, I'm living, really living. And I'm starting to understand that healing isn't about erasing the past, but about finding peace with it, making peace with who you are despite what's happened. The scholarship fund is growing faster than I could have imagined. Every time I get a new update, a new email from Rhonda, a story from someone who has been impacted, I feel a quiet pride settle in my chest. I've helped others find the strength I've fought for so long to claim. And it's not just about the money. It's not about recognition. It's about knowing that everything I endured, every sacrifice, every moment of pain, led to something bigger than me. Vincent continues to visit regularly, and each time he walks through that door, I feel a little more whole. He's become like family to me. We talk about everything, and nothing. He brings me books, flowers, and the occasional treat from the bakery down the street. It's these little things, the small acts of kindness, that make me feel human again. I never realized how much I needed this connection, this warmth, until I found it. I think about the past, about Deacon, about his father, about everything I went through, and for the first time in months, I don't feel anger. I don't feel regret. I feel free. The decision to let go of Deacon's love was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but it was also the most necessary. He's not the same person I raised. And that's something I need to accept. There's a part of me that still wonders if he'll ever understand what he did. If he'll ever truly regret the way he treated me. But then, I remind myself that I don't need him to apologize anymore. I don't need his validation. What I need is peace. And that's what I'm starting to find. One afternoon, as I'm reading on my couch, I get another text from Rhonda. "Loretta, we need to talk. It's about Deacon." I take a deep breath before responding. "What is it?" I already know this could mean more trouble, more complications, but I can't turn away from the past. Not yet. Not when there are so many unanswered questions still hanging in the air. She replies quickly, "The DA's office has pressed charges. Deacon's firm is cooperating. There's an investigation into the abuse, and it's expanding to include financial exploitation." My heart skips. I didn't expect this. The weight of it all settles over me, but this time, it's different. There's no fear. No panic. It's just a sense of closure. The truth is finally coming to light. I take a moment, reading the text over and over again. Deacon, Sloane, and their carefully constructed world are unraveling. The mask they wore, pretending to care, pretending to be the perfect family, it's starting to crack. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't bring me joy. But it does bring a kind of justice. A kind of peace. I send a message back, "Thank you for telling me, Rhonda. Please keep me updated." I feel nothing as I put my phone down. Nothing but a quiet, heavy kind of peace. Later that day, as I walk through the neighborhood, I see the first signs of spring, the flowers starting to bloom, the trees just beginning to bud. The air is fresh, crisp, and full of possibility. It's a simple thing, but it feels like a fresh start. The world is changing, and so am I. When I get home, there's another knock at my door. I open it, and to my surprise, it's Vincent again. This time, though, he's holding a small bouquet of fresh daisies, their white petals bright against the green of the stems. "I thought you might like these," he says with a smile. "A little something to celebrate the new season." I laugh softly, feeling my heart swell with warmth. "You always know how to brighten my day, don't you?" He shrugs, the grin on his face contagious. "What are friends for?" I invite him in, and we sit down to coffee, the smell of the flowers filling the room. For a while, we just talk about nothing. We laugh. We share stories of old movies we've watched, of books we're reading, of the small moments in our lives that are so easy to overlook. But those are the moments that matter. Those are the moments that make life worth living. After a while, Vincent turns to me, his expression a little more serious than usual. Loretta, I just want to say, I'm proud of you. For everything. You've been through so much, and you're still standing. I know it's not easy, but you've shown so much strength. I look at him, feeling the sincerity in his words. Thank you, Vincent. I don't think I could have done it without people like you in my life. He reaches across the table, takes my hand. You don't have to do anything alone, Loretta. You've got people who care about you now. People who see you. Who value you. Tears well in my eyes, but I don't let them fall. Instead, I smile. A smile that feels real, not forced. A smile that says, I'm going to be okay. The days continue to move forward. The legal process with Deacon drags on, but I'm no longer afraid of what's coming. I've already won. I've already taken back my life. One evening, as I sit in my favorite chair by the window, I hear a familiar sound, the chirp of the cardinals Vincent hung for me months ago. I get up and look outside, watching the birds flutter about the feeder. The sky is beginning to turn dark, the stars starting to peek out one by one. It's quiet now. The storm has passed, and I can finally see the calm, the peace I've been searching for. The phone rings again, but this time, I know it's not another crisis. It's not more bad news. It's just another step in the journey. I pick it up and hear Rhonda's voice, calm and steady. Loretta, just wanted to let you know, the charges against Deacon have been confirmed. He's facing multiple counts of elder abuse, financial exploitation, and more. There's no way out of this now. It's time for him to face the consequences. A sense of relief washes over me, and this time, I do feel it. Not because of the punishment, but because it's finally over. There's no more fear. There's no more silence. The truth has come out, and I've found my voice again. I hang up the phone, and I feel a strange, peaceful finality settle in. Everything I've been through, every tear, every heartache, every moment of feeling invisible, it's all led me here. And I'm not done yet. But now, I know one thing for sure, I'm enough. I've always been enough. Before we end, I want to ask you, have you ever fought for your voice? For your truth? How did it feel when you finally found the strength to stand up for yourself? Tell me in the comments. And if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. This journey isn't over. It's just the beginning. Stay tuned for the next chapter.